Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Beat of the Music by Eldredge. And we ended up capoing this on 2nd fret for the recording, but we're going to start off with kind of that intro progression around a C major chord. And then we play C major, first finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, and third finger on the A string 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now, while you're on C's in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 1st finger and make that a C major 7. Or you could take the pinky and add it in on the B string 3rd fret and have a C major 9. Or another way to play C major 9 is to do 1st finger on the D string 2nd, 2nd finger on the A string 3rd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd. You may want to think about using that for your C major for the song. And then from the C, we'll be going to a G major chord. When we play G major, 1st finger goes to the A string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret, and 3rd finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now, you may also want to think about putting the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E string 3rd, and using that for your G major. And then from the G, you'll kind of hear this change in the bass to the A string on the 2nd fret. And if you took a G chord and you strummed the A string to the high E, that's something called G/B, or G with a B in the bass. We'll talk about more of basses and kind of getting into some fingerstyle with this tune too. But then from the G/B, we go to an E minor chord. We play E minor. 1st finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the D string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds really sad. Now, you may also want to think about adding in the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E string 3rd, and using an E minor 7 through the song too. So through that intro, you got kind of that C, G, G/B, E minor, C, G, G/B, E minor. Now, you could kind of work this as kind of a down idea, and if you kind of dig on that, you could do kind of a 3+5 idea through that. G/B, E minor, kind of a C, 2, 3, G1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G, 2, 3, E minor. I'm adding in a little bit of right hand muting to make that more interesting. Kind of that C, G, G/B, E minor. But a lot of times, especially to support my voice, I like to use something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the C and just kind of tried that a lot. You have down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Now, the weird part about applying that through most of the song is a lot of the chords half. So you want to do kind of a down, down on the C, and then hit the G for your up, down, up for the strum pattern. And then the G/B, down, and the E minor for the up, down. So you'd have the C, down, G on the up, G/B, down, E minor, down, C with the down, down, G on the up, down, G/B, down, E minor, down. Now, a lot of times with a song like this too, I like to add bass notes to my chords. And so on that first down of the down, down, up, up, down, up, you could throw in an A string for your bass for the C chord. On the G, you have the low E for the bass. On the G/B, you have the A for the bass. And on the E minor, you have the low E string for the bass. So you could even just kind of add basses to the strum pattern and have C with an A bass, down, G on the up, down, G/B, down, E minor, down, C with an A bass, down, G on the up, down, G/B, down, E minor, down. Or there's some really cool what are called arpeggios, or broken chords, at the very, very beginning. And if you're kind of interested in doing this fingerstyle, this tune could really work out really well. And basically what happens is your thumb becomes your bass player for the E and the A and the D. And one way to kind of line the fingers up is to do index on the G string, middle finger on the B string, and ring finger on the high E string, and kind of have a division of labor. So it's almost like the thumb's job to play the basses, index job to play the G string, middle's to play the B, and ring finger on the high E. And just to kind of warm up a little bit, you could try kind of a thumb, index, and then middle ring. Actually can be kind of a cool arpeggio to start with. But through the song, you'll kind of hear where it almost does kind of a thumb, index, and then middle ring together. And then you do that again, and then we can kind of throw in a thumb index. I'm kind of throwing this out there because I think this would be a cool way to kind of do it. And there are definitely situations where you can even kind of move the fingers to the D, G, and B string, and kind of work that same idea with the right hand. So we're kind of breaking it up. So another way to work that through the intro is to do the C chord for the thumb, index, middle ring together, and then go to the G for the thumb, index, middle ring, thumb, index, and then the G/B for kind of your thumb, index, middle ring, and then the E minor for the thumb, index, middle ring, thumb, index. So it's a little weird, kind of that thumb, index, middle ring, thumb, index, middle ring, thumb, index, bass, index, middle ring, and then E minor. Get into some fingerstyle with it. And then from there, from that intro, we'd be going into our verse part. And the only difference on the verse, actually, we follow that same progression until the very end, where we do kind of our whole pattern on a C chord. And then we go from the C chord to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, the second finger on the high E 2nd fret, and third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord. It sounds really happy. While you're on Ds in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 2nd finger and make that a D suspended 2nd, or add in the pinky on the high E 3rd, make it a D suspended chord, or kind of move between those and say some things on D chords. Or another D chord I think could be kind of cool through the song is if you take your C chord shape and slide it over 2 frets. Now I got first finger on the B string 3rd, second finger on the D string 4th, third finger on the A string 5th, and kind of if you strum the A string to the high E string, there's something I call D add 4. You may want to think about that for your D chord, especially if you're doing the arpeggio and through the bridge. Actually, there's this cool lick where you may want to kind of do a slide between the C and the D, actually kind of in the bridge to kind of lead into the D chord. So if we try our verse, or our first verse actually, because it sounds like there's a variation on the second verse where you kind of start substituting in the D for the G. But if we try that with our strum pattern, you could have the C with, and on the D bass, you'd have the D string for the bass, and on the regular D, and on the D add 4, you'd have the A string for the bass for adding in basses. So you'd have the C with an A bass, down G, up, down G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor. We have the whole pattern on a C chord, and our whole pattern on a D chord. That first verse actually kind of vary in the second verse. Now the weird part is to play along with Brett Eldredge. Instead of starting on a C chord, it's starting on a D major chord. So to play along with the recording, what you want to do is take a capo, and if you put the capo on 2nd fret, then now your C is really a D, and your G is really an A, and your E minor is really an F sharp minor, and your D major, when you get to it, is really an E major chord. But to take it from the very beginning, you could kind of work kind of that muting idea kind of through the intro. Kind of C, 2, 3, G, G slash B, E minor. Or you could work that as kind of that down, down, up, down, up. G, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor. Or you could try that with the basses. C, G, G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor. Or if you're digging on that fingerstyle, you could kind of work it that way too. That's C, G, G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor. And then from that intro, then we'll be going into our first verse. We can do that with kind of our bass down, up, down, up. And have C, G, G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor, C, G, G slash B, E minor. And our whole pattern on the C, and our whole pattern on the D. And then from that first verse, then we go right into our second verse. Now you could kind of work that with kind of a fingerstyle idea, but on that second verse it is kind of weird because you go from the C to the D chord. So we try that second verse with our bass down, up, down, up. We'd have the C with an A bass, D, B, or G slash B, minor, C, D, G slash B, minor, C, D, G slash B, minor, C, idea, you can kind of have that C, D, G slash B, minor, C, D, G slash B, minor. Or if you're digging on that D add 4, that can be a very, very cool thing to kind of try through that part too. We've got that C with the whole pattern, D with the whole pattern. And then from there, then we'd be going into our chorus part. So we tried that with our strumming, we'd have the C with an A bass, D, G, the fingerstyle, then you have the C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, and then C, G. And then right after that first chorus, then we'll be going into a bridge part where we almost kind of stay on those chords all the way through with our whole pattern. So we try our bridge with our strum pattern. We have the C, C, G, G, C, C, D. Or if you're digging on that with the fingerstyle, then you could have the C, then we go right back into our chorus part. So we're kind of back to our C, D, G, minor, C, D, G, minor, C, D, G, minor, C, D, C, G. And then from there, then we go into kind of a solo part that kind of becomes our outro later, where we got a C, D, G, verse. So whenever C, D, G/B, minor, C, D, G/B, minor, C, D, G/B, minor, C, D. And from there, they would be going into our last chorus. So whenever C, D, tag where we go back to that C, D, C, G. From there, then we go into our outro part, and we got that C, D, G, minor, kind of like our solo, or like I said, if you're kind of digging on that fingerstyle, C, D, G, minor, C, D, G, minor, C, D. That's the basics of how you can strum through and kind of easily fingerstyle through Beat of the Music by Brett Eldredge. So good luck!